Hi, this is Kirby Summers, and I welcome you to the Epstein Project podcast. You know, I was tweeting earlier, and I was tweeting about things I'd remembered from when I was trafficked, and when I was sexually abused, and when I was a sex slave. And it made me remember something that I think is relevant to why I staunchly believe Virginia Giuffre in all of her allegations. But today I'm going to discuss her allegation against Prince Andrew and why I believe that she's telling the truth. So before I start, I do want to thank you. You guys are incredibly amazing. Your comments and your replies and everything that you've done to encourage me to stay in this fight and to keep talking and to keep sharing um, has done exactly that. I'm motivated every single day to do this and to continue to expose and to continue to write about my experience and how I overcame the obstacles in front of me because of your support. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart. What I remember when I was in that world is if a man had a foot fetish, as all of you know, Prince Andrew is alleged to have a foot fetish, which was sort of reinforced when we witnessed Fergie having her toes and her feet nibbled on in public, and that made the news when she was married to Prince Andrew, or maybe immediately after. But it was actually it was the first time there was like this royal sex scandal in quite a while. So we know that there's this foot fetish thing. So when a man has a foot fetish, what he wants the person servicing him to do is to wash their feet first. Now, in Virginia's case, it appears that they went back after being at Tramp's nightclub in London to Ghislaine Maxwell's home, and they disappeared into the bathroom. Ghislaine Maxwell has subsequently said that, oh, the tub would be too small for sex. But it's not too small when one party, namely Prince Andrew, the much larger of the two people, is not fully submerged in any tub, right? Where his primary goal is to help the person that he's going to use, in this case, Virginia Giuffre, at the time, Virginia Roberts, a 17-year-old girl, to sort of make sure that he either helps her wash her feet because he's going to nibble on them, and or that, he sort of makes, watches her as she does that. So it wasn't necessarily for him to have sex with her in the bathtub. That's not how I see it. I see it as a method that was employed to get her to be clean for his use. Because you've heard Virginia's account. After the encounter in the shower, in the bathtub, sorry, then they went on into the bedroom, and then he was gone, like, 10 minutes later, and she was, quite distraught. So that's my take on it. They weren't in there, quote, having sex. They were in there primarily so that he could nibble on clean feet, so that he could wash the parts of her body that he was going to use. And that's one of the things that stands out in my mind, because that's what I remember from when I was trafficked. Again, when someone was a foot fetish guy, they wanted you to have perfectly squeaky clean feet, even though you just took a shower, but you may be, you know, you may have put on a pair of shoes. That is what they wanted. So Virginia has always told the truth. I've believed her from word go. I help I use my time on Twitter to help amplify her voice. She is the person who's the most outspoken. Um, Other things that came to my attention is, the pushback that she's receiving is really quite intense. Someone who's telling the truth is going to have that sort of pushback. For every normal person, let's say, if you're a normal person who comes across someone who's done you wrong and that person has connections to the government and or powerful people, there may be about 70 people who are working behind the scenes to discredit you. So it's not just one person, but these are people who have an army of people behind them. They may have law firms, they may have politicians, they may have an intelligence agency. There's like 70 to 100, sometimes more people working to discredit a normal person. Let's say, you who have somehow stumbled upon and across someone who has sexually um, preyed upon you. In Virginia's case, she's naming some of the most powerful men on the planet, and specifically Prince Andrew. So, of course, in her case, that's going to be, I would think, amplified by thousands. So she has all of Buckingham Palace pushing against her. She has all of these public relations companies with the army of people that they then employ to help them pushing against her. Um, thank goodness that there's a group of us online. And, I don't trust everyone who says they're on our side, because one after one, I've discovered there are moles among us. But for the most part, there is a core group of true supporters and true believers who are supportive of Virginia. But I do want to go back to, there was a woman who stepped forward last year, who said that she was at Tramps, and that she saw Virginia on the dance floor with Prince Andrew, and in fact, that while she was dancing with her partner, she accidentally stepped on Prince Andrew's foot and said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he said something like, "No problem." Um, she then contacted, I have the name of the attorney, I think it's Gloria Allred's daughter, who is, let's see. Well, it's Gloria Allred's daughter, and right now I don't remember her name, but she is the attorney for a couple of the victims slash survivors. So this woman, Shukri Walker, uh, does remember Prince Andrew. She remembers that he said he was that that it was no problem that she accidentally stepped on his foot. The attorney allegedly presented this information to the FBI. The FBI turns around and says, "Well, we don't really need her. Um, we don't need her statement." That's like, wow. And that kind of was in the news for a day, and it's disappeared. Why doesn't the FBI want her statement? This is a woman who stepped forward because when she was young, she was also a victim of sexual abuse, and she thought it was important to stand forward and help Virginia. And then, she's told, "Well, thanks, but no thanks. We're not gonna need your testimony as a witness." Well, it almost sounds to me like the Prince Andrew situation is never going to be resolved if they're not even taking witnesses. I want to say that on the side, I do speak with people on a regular basis, who are going to be called upon during, if there's ever a real trial against Ghislaine Maxwell. And some of these people have really nothing to add, very minor things that when you compare, like, oh, yes, I met her at a party and you know, she was a little bit odd. Compared to someone who is an eyewitness to having seen Prince Andrew, and although Prince Andrew is not in Ghislaine's current case, I just think that it's very odd. So the authorities will take the opinion and will take as witness someone who has very little to add to the case, but will completely say, well, you saw Prince Andrew, he, you stepped on his foot, you saw him with Virginia, because she went on to say that Virginia had a very odd look, that she seemed a little bit, like she was uncomfortable. She also went on to say that Andrew wiped his forehead a couple of times during the time that he was dancing with her. Um, so anyway, that's my take on this. Um, there are always small tells that someone who has been in a similar position can spot in someone else to know that they're telling the truth. And Virginia Giuffre is telling the truth. I mean, that's what she's doing, and she's received an awful lot of pushback, but my God, I admire her so much. Um, she is the most outspoken. She is fearless. She's fierce. And, we just have to keep supporting Virginia and all of the Epstein victims. Okay, well, this is Kirby Summers, and I thank you for taking a listen to this. I'd love to see your comments and or questions in the, I guess, comment section below. I'll leave my links. So, please follow me on Patreon. That's kind of like a place where it doesn't cost much to support my voice. And of course, my books are on my website, and my newsletter goes out every Tuesday. All right. Have a good day. Talk soon. Bye.